Welcome to the SportSpace podcast. It's your host with the motherfucking most, Chuka Offer.
And it's your favorite co-host, Ezigo Offer.
And we are coming to y'all live with I want to start this off respectfully because, yes, a lot of people do think I have my opinions when it comes to the older generations and like older people, but I do recognize legends in sports, especially when it's legends that mean a lot to the sport. Because
not just mean a lot, mean at a point meant everything.
Because like there's pillars of sports, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of help build it to what it is. And so yes, I may talk about skills here and there, but like we want to make this one dedicated to Elgin Baylor just because, dog, like I was reading some things this week that I really didn't know.
I think he was original Mr. Triple-Double.
He was, bro. There's was something crazy I read this
even
week.
before Oscar Robertson.
Before the Buss family owned the Lakers, right? Like the previous owner, and I'm honestly sorry for not knowing this, of course, but the previous owner said, realistically, the Laker franchise, this franchise that we love, historic, this in the like 50s or 60s, whatever, was about to go bankrupt and just disappear as a whole franchise if it wasn't single-handedly for Elgin Baylor. Like the owner credits him for the reason that his franchise was even able to stay afloat.
Bro.
And now we see what the Lakers have become by 2021. That's humongous, man.
Because he had certain accomplishments that, even though we know basketball is only... It's the biggest it's ever been today, but at a point, still for people who care, it was important, right? And so, a person like him, who I think I saw won Rookie of the Year, but also
he won Rookie of the Year.
I think he won Rookie of the Year, but he also won the finals.
It was All-Star MVP.
Won All-Star MVP that year. Yeah.
He won Rookie of the Year and All-Star MVP same year. That's swag.
That's swag, bro.
That's fucking swag for sure. So shouts out to the legend. But moving right along in some more, in some non-basketball related news to start us off, just because it was brought to our attention, shouts out to Deej. It was that Ronaldo actually was placed on the transfer market today, soccer-wise. Which Ronaldo being placed on the transfer market today, on top of the fact that it is widespread news and known that Messi wanted out this summer too, it's just showing that two of the biggest names in the sports are trying to move on. B, we're watching them on the backside of their careers, like backside of their careers. In Ronaldo, what seems to be for both of them, I don't want to just put it on Ronaldo, even though we know his personality. So for both of them, seems to be their last like win now scenarios, their last like let's get what I can get. I know
the last meaningful wins that they can get in the soccer world. Because let's be honest, Ronaldo at age, I don't even know, 43 or 44 playing in the MLS.
It's still going to lead.
If he comes over here or something.
It's still going to lead in scoring,
bro,
probably.
It might lead in scoring. Might end up actually winning. You know, might be just something stupid, but it's like, you know, no one cares about that win as much as they care about winning, like, obviously, like the Prime.
Serie A or the Prime.
Or La Liga.
Or anything like that.
Any of like the big leagues.
And so we definitely
League wins.
are going to keep an eye out for that. So just giving an update there. And then moving on to basketball news, one thing that I do want to mention before we get into the news for sure is an update on Delonte West. Is, as you guys know, Mark Cuban. And Mark Cuban found Delonte West, put him up in a nice rehabilitation situation, and kind of set him up to get him back on his feet, which is beautiful seeing owners actually take stock into past players' lives that were on their teams, were not on their teams, whatever. Delonte West was on his team. But even moving on from that, now it is dope seeing Delonte West is clean and is now working at that rehabilitation center trying to help other people, which is beautiful to see. So shouts out to Delonte West. But
that's super nice to see.
Yes, sir, ski. Moving right along to other Laker news though, or just other news in general. The big injuries that happened this past week was two kind of the number one people being watched in the league right now, which is LeBron James on the Lakers.
No, stop it. Stop it. We're not doing that. We're not doing that because that's so unfair to LeBron. That's so unfair to everyone else. We got to LaMelo. What we just saw was the GOAT get injured, and we just saw the Lamb.
The goat and the baby goat.
I don't know what I don't know what the baby goat's called, but
I love
that's
how
essentially that.
Bro, niggas called Tyler Herro the baby goat, and his prime lasted 4 months. Bro, let me stop. Though.
People put too much pressure on him to be an all-star next year. That man's a young man who's randomly popping off in the bubble, and he's gonna be an NBA star.
He's gonna be a good
but
player,
you can't expect him to be like.
Niggas became so disrespectful to Tyler Herro after his he snarled and niggas hated him after that one snarl. But anyway,
I loved it.
LeBron and and LaMelo got injured in this past week, we're definitely LaMelo seems to be it is season ending. It looks like the Hornets aren't really taking a chance there, especially when it comes to him being what looks like to be their franchise player. So that's understandable. We expect a lot from LaMelo. We wish him a speedy recovery. You know how we feel. That's my favorite player in the NBA right now, just being real, especially when it comes to young talent, young players. So always going to give prayers and love there. But even speaking on the LeBron,
he could be back if they make playoffs.
He could be back if they make playoffs. But speaking about the LeBron situation, even like seeing how he got injured, and then seeing how Schroeder looks like he just got injured, but it's a slight injury. Like people are saying that the Lakers look like that team, that Kobe team, but without Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Like the Lakers are looking spooky, which I think y'all are haters because they're not looking like that.
Nah,
they're looking
at the end of the day, like,
but not
they're not about to look like, they're not even about to look like a playoff team when you don't have 3 of your best players.
You know what I'm saying? What?
But,
you don't have your 1, 2, or 3 option. Duh. Like people have to just be real. Duh.
But I think they're still definitely going to make playoffs. They're way too far of a lead to really blow that. I think. And at the end of the day, LeBron has got a sprained ankle. Like, I know he's older and it looks bad or whatever, and this, that, and the third. This man's built a little bit different than us.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
He's going to be back in not too long, and it's going to be business as normal.
And in the words of D Wade, like, that's him.
That's
like
him.
the man above. He said LeBron does exactly what he's seen hundreds of other players do. But he said there's just one difference is God gave him everything. And so like we know Bron's going to be back better than ever. I'm not going to use this opportunity like I was going to use before. We're going to save the conversation possibly about Adam Silver for another time just in case.
I do need to say though, because this is an interesting point where we're at, because while we know to be true the fact that Bron's going to bounce back pretty fast and then it's just going to be business as usual, the playoffs are going to happen, he's going to be there. Cool. Him being injured and out though really has brought up a huge conversation around the fact that people don't know, and they're really searching for more now than ever. Who is that face of the league to where Bron's out, Steph is injured, and like 2 of the most important players in basketball, and people need that guy. Bro, they need that guy playing to be able to enjoy it.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Who is that?
I think SportsCenter, YouTube, like a bunch of
like be quiet,
a lot of people. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like LeBron being injured it sucks.
It's like Gold Roger.
I get that, and I want to give LeBron his credit where his credit's due, but I think this truly shows the value of some of these young players because, bro, Bron got injured. The number one person they've spoken about all year when it comes to clicks has been LaMelo.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And so you think Bron gets injured, all right, we're just going to double down on all of the, like these niggas, LaMelo will like walk to the left. They'll be like, LaMelo Ball and his father are beefing. Like that'll be like the title of a video because they love clicks when it comes to that nigga.
LaMelo yells at ref.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like him talking to his teammate
They'll
in that direction.
Everything clickbaity with him. Yeah. What are y'all going to talk about now? Are y'all actually going to have to do your job? Are y'all actually going to have to get back to reporting?
They don't have to, bro, because they're just going to start slandering some people. And they're
just going to start slandering people now. Like, bro, we'll see. So I'm interested to see that. And in all honesty, one last thing that I wanted to mention, not really do too much of a deep dive on, obviously say the shit you got to say about it, is the Rockets being on they just snapped a 20-game losing streak, which is crazy that they were on a 20-game losing streak. But they snapped
also
to the
fact that they were
Toronto, which is now on a 9-game losing streak, which is now the NBA record because previously it was the Rockets. And people are thinking, like, as early as this week, just because the trade deadline's in a few days, that Kyle Lowry might be on a contender soon. Like, there are players that are looking like they might just be out of that situation ASAP. Like, there's people scrambling because of injuries. Like, Aaron Gordon's been a big name in contention right now.
He asked to be traded.
A lot of teams are looking like it's time to, like, make moves immediately now. So I'm interested to see what happens in the next couple weeks. But one thing I want to say with the Rockets situation, which we've seen with a lot of black coaches in particular, but coaches in general, and I don't want to use, and when I say names in the next few minutes, spiel like a Brad Stevens or Steve Nash or anything like that, none of that is ever disrespect to those people, because I think those people are great coaches. They're doing like good jobs, blah blah blah. But you see, like Steve Nash was put in a coaching job and he has KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, right? And don't get me wrong, he didn't expect the James Harden prior, right? And Brad Stevens was put in a coaching situation where these were playoff contenders, these were good teams, this is whatever, right? And he was heralded to this level of coach. We saw the level that Steve Kerr's heralded. We won't even speak on that, like all these kind of things. But when Steven Silas gets put on a Rockets team that already look like they might historically have one of the worst front offices in history because of the moves that they've been making, the way that they've been traveling. And then your star player, your franchise player, James Harden, wants to leave. And now a lot of people, like, the way I just want people to pray for, and I want people to not just that, but to look after, like, the mental and to be a little bit more empathetic towards Stephen Silas, because people are trying to vindicate him off of this one season when it looks like he walked into a dumpster fire. And we see how hard it is. Like, we've seen on discussions on I Am Athlete about black coaches even trying to break into some of these industries, and a lot of the times they'll break in and be put in dumpster fire situations, and if they don't turn around immediately, they'll be passed on and then forgotten about.
I think the Rockets are going to be a little bit different. I think because at the end of the day, like, we understand the NBA like rebuilding process, and like when teams are kind of in the shaky period and things like that, to where there's a little bit more grace with that. We've seen it with certain teams like the Hawks. I mean, they only just now parted ways with Lloyd Pierce, you know, and it's a little bit different from the NFL in the sense that it seems like in the NFL they turn over coaches, assistant coaches, all these things, like, it's nothing, you know. However, I am kind of eager to see how this plays out too, because this is going to be telling to what they think about these coaches, as well as just coaches that are like, especially how they treat, like, just keeping it a buck, like black coaches or coaches of color and things like that. So I think it's hard to say right now what's going to happen, but I'm excited to see if they end up keeping some of the players that they've made moves for, how things turn out, if they end up keeping the Wall,
I just want to see John
if
Wall
they
win,
end up keeping like the Oladipo, you know, if they end up doing certain things. I think they need to make big moves to just blow it up, but all the way, 100%.
Top to bottom. Like, beside, like, I just want the front office blown up. I need Stephen Silas to be given a few years. Like,
I think, and then give him grace to like actually see if he's doing a good job in the rebuild.
Exactly.
Like, because there's no expectation. But if you're doing all right, it's like, okay, this might turn into something where we actually have the pieces.
Like, look at the Kings, for instance. Like, we're watching their front court look like they're both like averaging great points, and they're building a team that looks a lot better and is getting better historically from what the Kings have been. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it took some time.
But to be fair too, with what the Kings have, I think it's hard to judge them when they're in the West, and like how deep the West is and how they're getting to where they need to be, but they're still not there. But there is a lot of speculation on that man Luke, and they're like, bro, get him out of here too.
Oh, yeah, that nigga got to get out of here.
And
too. I'm saying in terms of just giving people grace.
I'm just saying, man, y'all have somebody with pure job security who's never going to lose their job unless they don't want to be there anymore, running one of the biggest teams in the NBA. And I remember in clutch moments where his team had the ball on the opposite side of the court and needed to advance, or didn't even need to advance, just needed a moment, because I think there was like 2 seconds left on the clock and no one called timeout. And there was a timeout left. And no one called timeout, and then they ended up not being able to cross the half, and then the game clock expired and nothing. I'm just like, yo, at the end of the day, I get letting the player play if that's what they want or things like that, but it didn't even end up in the hands of who you wanted it to end up, I'm pretty sure. And on top of that, you had a timeout, so why didn't you call it? I'm not going to say his name rhymes with peeve per, but I expected more than you know? So, but that's all jokes aside on that. I'm just curious to see how this plays out even more, but we got some more shit to get into, so let's go ahead and get into it.
Yes, sirski. So then the last thing, we have 2 conversations, and they are shorter conversations, to be quite honest, from my opinions, but the one was Draymond Green recently just went a little bit under fire because, well, he's been getting killed all day, roasted, because he said, to be great, I'm saying he's supposed to feel like he's supposed to feel like this.
He's wrong, but
he's super wrong. But he thinks he's the greatest defender in NBA history, right? And he said that today.
I didn't watch enough NBA to say that, like, all throughout history.
But that being said,
I'm giving Draymond a solid, in my humble opinion. He got a solid top 15.
Prime Draymond, I would give a top 10.
I think he can be top 10, but I'm going to comfortably, safely say top 15.
Because on those Golden State teams, we also have to remember Draymond's like a 6'9"? Mm-hmm. We had him guarding the 4 and 5.
And that was at a time where teams weren't just yet emulating the Golden State model. So Draymond was still guarding.
He was in the post with a 4 and 5.
A lot of bigger guys, and on different like methods of play. Like, it wasn't like he's guarding these people out on like the perimeter. Like you said, he was in the post getting banged on by like big dudes, and he was holding his own.
So I want to give him his credit where credit's due. That being said, like, my question to you would be, at least with this one before we go to the next one, would be, Who would you go for as your best defender in history? Because my answer is just Tony Allen, but that's only because we watched Tony Allen be a dog. You said something hilarious. Was he's who they tried to sell us the Patrick Beverly to be? Yeah. But like, which is true because Tony Allen was a real dog.
That Pat Bev narrative got out of here in 2 years, and I'm happy.
Bro, I'm telling you, it was the Tim's on the beach.
Everybody and get his.
It was
money
Tim's on the beach.
Because he's not like that. He's not like that.
He got signed crazy for Tim's on the beach, but
he was able to get his money.
For sure, as a young black man, please get paid. I'm never gonna hate on that. Yeah. But like me, just the fact that Kobe and KD both said he was one of the hardest people to ever defend them. Kobe said it was the hardest to defend him. I'm gonna go with Tony Allen. But who would you say from what you've seen?
No, because this is from what I've seen. Like at the end of the day, I was sitting there thinking about that conversation, and I was trying to think of people I thought were better defenders than Draymond, just to be honest. And immediately, it was hard to argue a lot of people. Like there was
very hard because we got to give him respect.
And so to be fair, I'm probably gonna definitively say he is top 10. But at the end of the day, there was one person who, keep in mind, I didn't remember the Kobe saying this. I didn't remember the KD saying it. I was just thinking to myself and replaying my years of watching NBA basketball and hitting the eye test. And I was like, yo, I remember one man being a dog even into his later years playing in defense. And that man, Tony Allen, was kind of
different. Hard it is like to play NBA defense at your older years? Why do you think once you hit your 30s, like those, like
all you got is offense.
Those 3-and-D players, like they truly, like the Matt Barneses, like the people that would really come in 30-something years old and hustle out defense. No wonder y'all wonder why these niggas had 14-year NBA careers. You know what I'm saying? Because they worked. Like it is hard. The hardest cardio on the court isn't offense. It's defense for sure. Like, bro, keeping up with some of these dogs and chasing them around, lateral movements, all of that, difficult. So Tony Allen was doing that at a high level in his 30s, happily, because that's all he knew he had to do. He said, bro, I'm gonna guard someone.
And he was able to bring such value through his defense, because at the end of the day, he was a straight offensive player. I think people didn't give him enough credit there too, because I've seen that man randomly be a bucket at times, and it's just like, yo, I didn't know you had that in you. But that's neat.
I just watched them leave him open.
Like, that's cool. Like,
I watched them just leave that nigga open. No offense to him, but
nah, there was definitely moments he turned up. I'm not saying that happened a lot, but there was moments. But it was just the fact that he had so much value on the defensive side that a lot of great, like, generational players wanted him on their team, because it's like, we need somebody like that to win a championship. So shout out to Tony Allen. But man, Draymond, I respect you, bro. I'm just saying this, 'cause I made a tweet about it. Draymond, it's hard for him. It's hard for people to say like a Hakeem Olajuwon and all these, because I get like guarding defender, like big post players or whatever. This guy was great, you know, Mutombo, you know, whatever. But guarding players 1 through 5, especially like a Draymond who was guarding, who at times during like finals runs or playoff runs had to guard like a Kyrie, had to guard like a Harden, you know. When seeing that shit and seeing him hold his own for just hold his own, to be honest, knowing that if it was Olajuwon on the other side of that, he's getting mixed, bro. His knees are wobbly. He's getting dropped. Like, it's bad for him. It's bad for him. Like, seeing that, I just knew certain opinions to ignore. But
he said it's bad for him. It's quiet.
It's quiet, bro.
Bro, that's funny as shit. All right, so we came to a good consensus there. Yeah. So then the next thing that came up, that was a bit of a discussion this week, which will kind of end on this note for sure. We'll see comment, is Kyrie versus AI. Like, a lot of people this week were kind of asking, who's a better player?
In their generation, in their generation and their impact, I think it's a lot of people get because I'm immediately.
I'll let you go first.
I'm immediately
go get all your shit off.
I'm gonna immediately say Kyrie. Immediately, that's just what I believe. However, I think this conversation's only happening because of what Iverson was able to accomplish, grand scheme of things, even on like the scope of just basketball and things like that, even though he never won and Kyrie did, and people are still not taking that into account, whatever.
But Kyrie wasn't an MVP.
And he wasn't an MVP.
Was he ever a scoring leader?
I'm going to say this. No, he wasn't.
AI did it 4 times.
I think AI, at the end of the day, if I need AI to be... I'm still going to say Kyrie, and because, again, like in his thing, Kyrie isn't as dominant in his generation as AI was in his generation. And that's where that point was leading to, because I seen the crazy shit, you know what I mean? Like, I get why people are having that conversation, but it's just different, bro. And the shit that Kyrie's doing is a lot from AI that he's even doing at a different level. Like, a lot of things like people held the Isaiah Thomas, like OG for, the AIs for, things like that. The handles, you're not even giving it a chance compared to someone like a Kyrie, because this man's doing it at such a high level. It's different. But He's just not. He's a better basketball player. Is he going to be as iconic? I don't believe so. Is he going to? Maybe if he keeps winning and they get things, he might be able to do that. Yeah, but I think just inherently just looking at them playing basketball, he's better. But that's not a conversation that needs to be had because they're so different in what they're trying to accomplish from basketball, what they take out of it, and what their approach to it.
See, to me, it's funny because I'm going to echo a little bit of the sentiment that Stephen A. said. And I have to say this with a grain of salt because, yes, we know if you've researched sports or if you pay attention to the history of basketball. Like,
I'm not saying not, but Kyrie clutch.
Stephen A. is somebody whose career. He even says himself he owes his career to Allen Iverson because he was able to directly cover Allen Iverson in Philadelphia during the AI period where he was the big dog, the biggest dude on the planet, the nigga that made me faint meeting him. You know what I'm saying? Like the coolest. When AI was God. Right, Stephen A. happened to be able to be right place, right time, the reporter that was covering that. So he's always going to. So I understand he put a little bit more spice and a little bit more sauce on it, the way he said it. But that being said, it's like, look, no one with working eyeballs who watches the NBA should ever in their life say that Kyrie is a worse basketball player than AI, because AI himself says that Kyrie has the best handles in history. He says it himself. But that being said, if you were to start a franchise, like just change it, like yes, Kyrie is a better player than AI. Starting a franchise, there's not one instance, not one, like zero through 10. Like give me 100 franchises, give me 10 franchises, give me one. There's not one of them that I'm choosing to start a Kyrie.
And isn't that crazy?
AI because
I agree with you.
Because let's just be honest. Like we saw a franchise where Kyrie was the one option. They became a lottery team where he was by far the best player on the team. When Allen Iverson was by far the best player of the team, which we'll be clear about the fact that because of the momentum, we know what momentum does in sports, but that team also had a Sixth Man of the Year, I believe, and a Defensive Player of the Year on that Sixers team on that side. Okay. Let's just be very clear. But we saw him go to the finals. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like off of being by far the best offensive threat on his team. AI is a much better leader. He's somebody that wants that moment in terms of leadership. He wants to create the vibe for his people so that they know that can win, and he wants to be the Moses that takes you to the promised land. Kyrie treats basketball, which I'm not saying this disrespectfully at all, because I think it's the most player shit ever, that Kyrie is just shitting on y'all every single week, like the niggas that go out here and try so hard to like be like, oh bro, you should be this, you should be that. Kyrie treats hooping like a 9 to 5. He treats it like his job. Like this nigga is missing this weekend like fucking trip to which people are speculating he's missing this few day trip, like 3-day game trip, whatever. It's his birthday weekend. You know what I'm saying?
He said his family issues. As soon as you say that, it could just be a birthday shit. I'm not even gonna touch it.
But even then, I'm not trying to.
But I feel you. I know what you're saying, and I just.
That's why. Let me just finish it then, because you know what I'm saying. They don't. But it's like, bro, y'all work a regular ass job, and when it's your birthday, y'all take PTO. You know what I'm saying? Y'all take time off. Y'all take time this. You don't think that your business is working at a fractionally less percentage while you're not there? Let's be real.
I'm never going to my job when I'm working.
Bro, like every single time that I've worked, like let's just even use basic business, because we won't even talk about you being like the senior management at a company or this at a company or this at a company. Bro, as servers, bro, we both served before, right? You were a great server. I was an outstanding server. When you are not there, right, on a day you are supposed to work, what is the number one thing you hear when you come in the next day? You hear like, damn, bro, we could have used you yesterday. We missed you, blah, 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 this. Of course your fucking job is going to miss you. You're on the roster and you do a good job. You know what I'm saying? But this man gets paid millions of dollars to play a game. He realizes that it's a game. He doesn't view it like people want him to view it, and he takes it like that. And I think that's the most baller shit
I feel
ever.
like we have to clear something, because this is it. At the end of the day, Kyrie's love towards basketball, bro, it's the passion is different, bro. And he genuinely, I can't say he treats basketball like a 9 to 5, because he doesn't. Like his view, it's like, and let me explain what I mean, because I know exactly what you're saying. I'm just gonna expound on that just so people get this. It's the fact that he treats basketball, that's his passion, and he really loves it, the creative side of it, everything, the artistry, and just like what it means, and like really is a student of it. But the NBA is his job. And so like the organization, and like he has to show up and things like that. He's going to want to do the best he can in his job, and he's going to want to win. He wants to be a champion. Obviously the moves he's made and what he's trying to do, he's trying to be a champion. But at the end of the day, it's his job.
And people weren't even hating on, don't get me wrong, LeBron showed up a lot more, don't get me wrong. But there was a lot of those LeBron teams on the East where you could tell, like, hey, if Braun was a little bit more this, or if Braun didn't sit out here, or if Braun didn't that, we could have been the first seed or the second seed or the third seed. Braun was one of those players that he knew he didn't give a fuck what seed he was going to the finals, right? Just because there was no use in pushing it, there was no use in that. It is what it is. We're going to the finals.
Like there were certain years, like the Miami years, he was like, I'm gonna be in one. I'm gonna let y'all know I'm one.
Yeah.
Or at least trying to.
But like, bro, I view the Kyrie shit the same way. Like, I don't think Kyrie is about to skip out on the fucking playoffs. He just sees James Harden is getting acclimated to this team. You know what I'm saying? He's running this shit. He looks like he should be in the MVP conversation.
If we're keeping it a buck, even when KD's on the court with him, right now, from what I'm seeing, I'm so happy with the fact that it seems like James Harden's the leader of that team,
which he's happy for.
He was not intended to be,
because bro, Kai and fucking KD both talked about it in a way where they just seem like they're both just like whatever about that leadership thing. They said they'll split it. James knows he's a leader, so he just came in and was a leader, bro. There's a difference between people have to quit projecting what they believe other people should be like or think or this or that on other people. But yes, we won't say this just on so much of us caping for Kyrie tip. Kyrie is a better basketball player than AI. I'm choosing AI every single time.
Yeah, I just want to round out my point because at the end of the day, I firmly believe Kyrie's better. He got the better handle. He's got the better It's crazy because they have similar games, but he's got the better finishing.
It's just an evolved.
He's better. He's a better finisher, and I don't care what anyone say. He's better at it.
Bro, it's an evolved
I've seen it. You cannot see the jelly this man be fucking nasty.
Bro, we say this shit about Kobe all the time.
Bro.
How he literally took Jordan's firmware and upgraded it.
Exactly.
Kyrie is literally the one person in NBA history. Steph is arguable too, but Steph did it in his own way and added the shot to it, which made it different.
There's a marginal difference in their passing.
But Kyrie literally took AI's fucking firmware and updated it.
I think Kyrie got a better shot, and I think he's more clutch. The tough part, though, is the fact that if I had to start a team, though, I'm still taking AI because
you want a leader.
Those intangibles are different, man.
The intangibles are way too different. But I don't got shit else to say for sports.
That was it, man.
My name's Chuka.
My name is Ezigo.
And we're going to catch y'all next week on the Sports Space. Yes, sir.